Yo. Got him.
ママはどこへ行った
Whoa.
じい様
Let's go. Wow. That's what happens. So we gotta slow down. We gotta challenge our thoughts. And we have to internalize this truth that we cannot trust all of our thoughts. Our mind deceives us all the time based on how we feel, right? Welcome back. Someone commented in my early access to last week's episode that from this point on, it's going to be nonstop peak after peak after peak. And I couldn't help but wonder, how will this be possible? But I am the living testimony to that. For the last, 4 or 5 episodes, I've ended each episode with this was my favorite episode. Colorblind episode, the Lacan reveal, the hunt. I mean, just, yeah. Anyway, here we are. Thathan Nation Zero, Helix Seed, and Julian Shimaru are their founding sponsor tier supporters since day one. Thank you so much. And shout out to all the yappers, all the Patreon family, and YouTube folks for supporting me, for being here with you today. Sit back and I hope you enjoy. All right, the kidnapping continues. And can we also talk about the Fox Village? Was my suspicions on point? Was the Fox Village like the last remaining village of the Mother Royale bloodline? We'll see. I feel like Jinshi's kind of been low key, so I'm excited for him to go off this episode. I hope he does. That's right. Episode 42 is called Lantern Plant. 第42话鬼灯. Interesting. This is kanji is not what the translation says. This might have been the most off translation I've seen. In kanji, the first one is ghost. 鬼 means ghost or spirit. And the second character means 灯, that means lantern. So the direct translation would have been ghost lantern or lantern of ghost. Or spiritual lantern, spirit of lantern, but usually ghost lantern. So I'm not really sure what this lantern plant, where did that come from? But I'm sure there's multiple layers of meaning there. Preparation is key. Luomen's gonna go off too. Sup, Doc? Whoa, Dr. Square.
今は落ち着いています
Oh, nice. Nice. Even before her second kidnapping takes place, she still delivered.
Job finished? I don't think so.
Her clinical care, her act of service, her clinical competency still delivered. Speaking of delivery, pun intended, Mao Mao. Before she kidnapped, her mission was successful. What? Anyway. Bonkers. Mao Mao.
居場所が見つからないまま
Yo. Oh, did you see the micro expressions of Jinshi? That's a display of his anxiety, fear of not being in control. The ultimate fear that every single one of us, and I do mean every single one of us, ubiquitously, universally, across the human species, is the core fear of not being in control. Why are we afraid of the unknown, transition, change, uncertainty? The fear of not being in control. Why are we afraid of putting ourselves back out there after like a difficult dating experience, a breakup, a heartbreak? Of course, there's a grief. There's a sadness and the healing, of course. At the same time, if you were to peel back all the layers, at the core is a fear of not being in control. Not being in control of the next partner, the next boyfriend, the next girlfriend, the first dates, the second dates, the third dates, all that. Why are we afraid of changing our jobs? Even though we're stuck with a horrible, incompetent boss who's abusive, who's just a horrible manager. Because you know the saying, most people leave their jobs not for the sake of their jobs, but because of their bosses. It's the mindset that I'd rather deal with the beast that I know, a known monster, than the beast of the unknown, uncertainty. What does it come back to again? The fear of not being in control. That is what's being displayed here through Jinshi's micro expressions and body language. And I fear for him. 10 days. And through this proxy, we can gauge into how restless Luomen must have felt when Mama was kidnapped for over a year before she was allowed to write back, after the real palace bought her rights from the kidnappers, right? I really, really feel for those fear. And again, I hope this is validating for all of us, because all of us deal with this degree of fear, a varying degree, but the core fear nonetheless. Doctor, out of the way. Oh, poor Quake Doctor. I love you, man. At the same time, oh gosh, just as soon as he asks, how can I be of service? All the ladies are waiting like, hey, Doctor, out of the way. You're a nuisance right now in the way. Oh, poor Quake Doctor. But again, he's so wholesome because he just want to be helpful. And he knows his place. That's why he has no sense of pride or inferiority complex or any fragile ego. He knows his place. He's very honest, and he just want to be of service. Super wholesome and freaking comical and savage. Oh man! Just look after the cat. Who said that? Was that Hongyang? Oh my gosh! Ah. True, it's validating. You're not alone, Jinshi. The level of helplessness. Jinshi-sama. Oh.
それで
What did they find out?
宦官の名はティエ。元は異民族の奴隷という話でしたが、共に来たはずのものの誰とも面識がなかったそうです。おそらくどこかで紛れ込んだものかと。
He must have snuck in somewhere. Obviously, we know that. But the real question that needs to be asked is who snuck him in? Who forged his letter? Who verified his backgrounds? Who approved and or planted him as part of this master plan?
Houdini.
Of course, my ongoing conjecture, my apologies, Luomen, is Master Shisho, right? But yes, that is a real question. Not how Suiren snuck in, but who allowed him to? Who empowered him? Who backed him? That's a real question.
高級に入り込むためか。
周りと馴染まずにいたのもボロを出さないためでしょう。おかげで情報もほぼ残っていません。病に手を合わせているところを見た者がおります。
信心深いものならそれくらいするだろ
う。ですが。
Oh. Well.
北側の墓地。
The secret passage.
選定のお手つきに。
Oh. Yo, remember my conjecture was that old lady in waiting who was allegedly deflowered by the emperor, but it was denied, but she ended up being stuck. The main subject of the 13th ghost story episode. Remember, I thought maybe that was Shen Liu, but sounds like the fact that Sui Ren was paying tributes to the deceased person who was deflowered years ago and passed. I'm guessing that lady in waiting, the main subject of that story, who was denied her rights, who was not seen, unappreciated, and even after getting deflowered, getting her integrity and dignity and truth denied from her by the late emperor at the time. Maybe that is Sui Ren's mother, right? Because the story said that that lady ended up being pregnant, but no one received the proper recognitions. So yeah, maybe that woman from that ghost story is the mother of Sui Ren, and part of that is a big driving force. And if that were true, yeah, what happens to the family tree? Because remember, last episode revealed that Sui Ren was sisters with Luo Lan. That means Shisho is their full father, half father, whatever it is. So what does that mean about the rest of their family tree? Man, the more that's being revealed, the more questions I have. The series is just absolutely peak. And yeah, let's see, what's the kanji on the tomb? Something about big treasure, 大宝 or something. Yeah, the first character means it's big, 大, but I don't know what the second character is. Could be, yeah, obviously it's like a name, right? It's like a surname. Oh, that dying flower, or the flower, the wither flower, symbolizing deflowering. Very symbolic.
幼くして花を散らされた女たちは
Wow. Even after death. That's so effed. So messed up. Yeah, wow. Even they don't even have the right to choose where to be buried. The internal slumber, the peace that comes after death is even disturbed. And they don't even the family members or herself, the one that passed away, after getting her rights denied and unrecognized by the late emperor, she doesn't even get to choose her gravestone. That's the least someone could choose. But nope. Man, so much trauma.
その名を記録されることもない
Shen Liu. Fateful encounter.
失礼します。
Stop her. Sus. Let's go, Jinshi.
この匂い
Mamos. The alcohol, yo, dude. Obviously, Jinshi's already extremely sharp, very astute, very, very brilliant. I don't know if he's equally brilliant as Mao Mao, just because I've been drinking so much of Mao Mao's Kool-Aid and she's the MC, but presumably, intellectually, they're on par. Because obviously he is the crown prince, right? That's no joke. My point is, now it's pertaining to Mao Mao's safety and whereabouts. Yo, he doesn't need no coffee, right? He doesn't need a double shot espresso. His brain is in hyperdrive, hyper focused. He went from like a V8 engine to like a V12 throughout this very special circumstances of Mao Mao's missing and kidnapping situation. So he's freaking knows. He summoned the spirit of, golden retriever. You know what I mean? Just sniff, sniff, enhanced sensory input. And he sniffed it out of Shen Liu. Let's go. Yo. Got
マー
him.
マーはどこへ行った
Whoa. And this is, again, I know Jinshi lost his composure, so this was not tactical or calculated by any means. But remember I talked about before, in like forensic interview techniques that a lot of BAU, behavior analysis unit, right, behavior utilizes, and a lot of forensic psychotherapists, forensic like profilers, FBI, what they use is they're asking the subject of their questioning or interview extremely like a question out of the left field, completely unrelated seemingly to the situation, the context at hand. And it's so sudden and abrupt. It leaves the subject of their interviews and suspects very little cognitive room to prepare their answer and make something up and fabricate. That's what happened to Jinshi right now. Or that's what happened to Shen Liu by Jinshi. Again, this was not deliberate. He just clicked, he smelled it, that activated, and he's like, where did Mao Mao go? But it's so out of the left field. Can you imagine Shen Liu just minding her own business and paying the tribute to the same person who I suspect to be Sui Ren's mother, deceased mother? And she was like, she was already startled because she did not expect to see Master Jinshi, the manager, top dog of the royal palace, casually and randomly coming to this buried site. Like, what? That's crazy. And then when you're about to excuse yourself, he grabs you by your arm, your wrist, and he's like, where is Mao Mao? The whirlwinds, the emotional whirlwinds must be happening inside of Shen Liu. I would love to see it. I would love to see that portrayal. But we'll see what is the impact and how this lands. And I'm sure Shen Liu is not prepared for this. How could she? And when you're not prepared, you're going to leave clues and crumbs. And again, right now, Jinshi has summoned the spirit of golden retriever. Well, actually, now it's more like a hunting dog, like a German shepherd or Doberman. I don't know, dude. Find whatever the sharpest apex hunting dog there is. He summoned that. So we'll see how this goes. Oh, I'm hyped. Let's go. Okay, he caught himself.
今の俺は宦官の人種だいつも通り
Okay, good. Let's see what she says, though.
そばかすの女官水球の事情について知りたいのだが心当たりはないか
Ah, here we go. Oh. Whoa. The late emperor. Whoa. Got him.
古い記憶を
Flower, obviously deflowering. Oh, dude, Shenli's also been raped and deflowered by the late emperor. Oh, man.
お優しい声で名前を呼ばれ
Is there even a more sharper irony than this. Do not accept candies from a stranger with the rapey minivan, but accept that stranger is the freaking emperor, the ruler of the heaven, a ruler of the nation. Gosh, dude, looks just like Jinshi. Looks just like him. That's crazy. I know that's his paternal grandfather, but still.
何の話だ。
皆若い頃のあの方の姿を知らないのです。もなく話に聞くのみでしたが、
誰のことだ。
あなたはよく似ている。
So right now, what Shinli is displaying is a trauma-induced dissociation. Although she, definition right here, although Shinli is not completely dissociated. So when I'm working with clients who are struggling with like PTSD and pretty severe unhealed, unprocessed trauma, sometimes they you can see the light kind of go out in their eyes, and you can tell they're still in the room, but they're not really hearing me anymore, even in sessions live. And obviously I've learned to pick up these behavior cues because again, I do this for a living and I specialize in trauma work, in trauma therapy. And so that's what that means is client, because of the content of our discussions, something they've shared, although they're prepared, the grip of their trauma is still so intense because it's unprocessed, it's unhealed. So they will actually disassociate by disconnecting from the reality where they feel like they're living through that trauma again, that traumatic incident. And it's too much for their nervous system. They don't feel safe emotionally and psychologically. And that lack of emotional and psychological safety will give them the illusion, because this is trauma-based, it's a trauma response, that they don't feel safe physically. Although they are safe physically. Why? Because I'm in the session with them and they're not actually in the experience of the trauma from X amount of years ago, but that's not the point. That's how they feel. So they go through subconscious dissociation. It's not like they're purposely telling themselves constantly, this is too painful, let me purposely disassociate from my session with Benoit. They're not saying that. They're not thinking that. It just happens because it's a learned coping and defensive mechanism by their brain and their nervous system, because they've went from a parasympathetic to a sympathetic nervous system response, SNS, right? Sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight or flight. We're endangered, we're scared, and they will disassociate. And they'll either daydream or they're kind of completely checked out. Shinliu is still kind of responding to Jinshi, which means she has not fully disassociated, but that's what happens. She had an involuntary memory recall by seeing Jinshi's face because of the resemblance, obviously, grandfather, grandson, and she experienced trauma-induced or trauma response. But she took a step back. She was scared. She started sweating. She kind of froze. All that's her trauma responses. And now she's kind of talking to herself. Oh, I guess no one knows what the late emperor looked like when he was young. He never visited me, so I've only heard rumors. Jinshi didn't ask these questions. Shinli was just self-disclosing. She just kind of murmuring and kind of talking to herself. That's a symptom or a sign of dissociation, a trauma-induced response. That's what's happening.
何の話をしている。
Yep.
あの
That's why I take that back. I take what I said back. Shinli is having a full-blown dissociation episode because right. Jinshi's low-key yelling at Shinliu, but she no longer sees Jinshi. She's not hearing him anymore. Her auditory input has been hijacked by trauma. Remember what I share about the trauma response, what happens, right? Again, not to turn this back into neuroscience 101, but a very simplified version. 3 important components here. And this is the mechanism behind how the brain processes trauma by shifting into a survival mode, where the amygdala, which is the fear center, amygdala is like the executive motor control where it regulates your emotion, but it's colloquially simply known as the fear center, becomes overactive or it's in hyper mode, hyperdrive, it's been overactive, while the PFC, prefrontal cortex, if it's right here, prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of our critical thinking, rational thinking. It's kind of the filter between our emotions and our reactions, right? And hippocampus, which is the memory consolidation center. That's hippocampus, that's for sure here. Hippocampus is what helps us form our memories, like short-term or long-term, etc. But it's how we process the memory are impaired. I'll say that one more time. Our brain processes trauma by shifting into a survival mode because trauma is unprocessed and we no longer feel safe. So we're scared. So we get teleported to the time of the trauma. And that's because the amygdala, the fear center, is overactive now. And the filter that we have to make sure, wait, no, that's just a memory. I'm safe right now. It's a memory. It's not happening to me right now. I am safe. That ability, which is what prefrontal cortex does, the filtering mechanism is offline. And hippocampus, where we process the memories, are hijacked. What does that mean? Although the memories is of the distance past, but now it feels like the memory is hijacked because of the unprocessed trauma. So that's what happens. That's why folks who are struggling with unhealed, unprocessed trauma, although they're physically safe right now, when they talk about trauma, when they think about trauma, it brings them back to that time. And they don't feel safe anymore, physically, emotionally, psychologically. This is neuroscience in the making. That's why trauma work is important, because unhealed trauma continues to compromise our ability to be present, hijacks us and our memories and our ability to respond appropriately. That's what's happening to Shen Liu. She no longer hears Jinxi. She no longer sees him. She forget that she's in this setting. She's brought back to the flower fields when the late emperor approached her for the first time. Wow. What a powerful and poignant disassociation portrayal. But you have to have the clinical lens to understand this.
甘い蜂蜜のような声と
Wow.
のような方が宦官のごとき真似をしているのですか
Why is someone of your status pretending to be a eunuch? Again, I don't think Shen Liu is talking to Jinxi as the hidden crown prince, the moon frog crown prince. I think she is seeing Jinxi through her trauma lens and viewing him through the young image, the split image of the late emperor. But of course, now it's like tables flip. Jinxi's like, whoa, exposed. What did you say? Hold up. Yo, that's what a plot twist. Yeah. Yep.
暴れるな。どうします？
Dude, they cannot, obviously they can't kill her, but like, dude, they need to silence her somehow. Cause again, I don't think she was talking to Jinxi as Jinxi, but Jinxi now they have a decision to make. Jinxi's like, dude, Xunli kind of low-key exposed me and no one can know about this truth. So even outside of Mao Mao, Xunli just put herself in the most precarious situation she's ever been in. Man.
ジン様。
Now Jinxi's frozen. Dude, now Jinxi is frozen. Now he is panicking. Now he's displaying a trauma response of fights, flight, freeze, and fawn. Oh! She's gonna kill herself. Oh, man.
毒か。水を持ってこい。ジン様、ご指示を。
Oh, man. Jinxi's frozen.
ジン様。
Okay. Jinxi also disassociated for a minute. That was a crazy sequence. That was, wow. Wow. Even viewing through this trauma lens is like, wow. Back to back to back.
この。しっかりなさいませ。
That was
旅
intense,
館の
dude.
戯れなど気にしてどうします。
戯れで毒を飲み干すか。笑いかけた俺の顔を見て青ざめていた。あの方に似ているか。
Wow. Yeah.
恐怖させ毒を煽らせるほど俺の中にある。
Oh, further trauma revealed about Jinxi. Obviously, this is new, right? Obviously, the rumors are he's illegitimate. How can he look like that, right? It's definitely not the proper bloodline of the Empress. given he didn't look like his brothers and sisters, etc., etc. Man, feeling that even his birthright wasn't legitimate. And in addition to that, obviously, Jinshi knows about the rumors about the late emperor being a pedophile because of his own unhealed trauma. I talked about it extensively in episode 10. So think about, again, speaking of whirlwinds in Shen Liu's minds, right here, it's a parallel process. The whirlwind in Jinshi's minds. I'm sure he already has a certain level of disdain towards the late emperor because the pedophilic, all those tendencies, right? The reputation far exceeds himself. Now feeling like he was never legitimate, his birthright was improper. Think about all that. And as a child, hearing these things, the impacts. And of course, this is not counting the child swap theory, right? So this is just from Jinshi's perspective. Man. The series truly is full of endless trauma on so many sides, so many people, even as someone as privileged and as powerful Jinshi is from his royal bloodline. It's wild. But that's life. This is so accurate. Life is not fair. No one ever promised this. No one ever guaranteed that life is fair. And some people are going to be born with silver spoon and maybe even 5 silver spoons. I wasn't one of them, right? I grew up with a single mom with my younger sister. But again, that doesn't make someone better or worse. That's just like we didn't get to choose the lack of privileges or accesses. Those people who are born with silver spoons, they also didn't choose. It's all just genetic lottery, full stop. At the same time, what it does remind us is no matter how affluent or air quote privileged someone may be from the outside looking in, from the perception, we all have our stuff. Every single one of us, and I do mean every single one of us, all have our stuff. We all have our invisible struggle, trauma or otherwise, including Jinshi, the hidden crown prince. Oh man, poor Jinshi.
血のつながりがない
The second kanji based on name is like a big treasure. It's called 大宝. Again, I'm guessing that's a surname of some, but the actual kanji means the first one is big, like literally big, and the second one is treasure or something precious. That's what kanji means. The surname of the deceased lady in waiting. Someone came recently. One last thing, man, there was so much there even with Jinshi's own monologue, and I guess for the first time since the series has begun, Jinshi fully disclosed the why behind his disguise, going to the real palace, disguising as a eunuch, trying to distance himself from the bloodline because he felt like it was illegitimate. Man, he's so self-aware, so mature. At the same time, at the end of the day, he's just a 19-year-old young adult. Based on what the viewers have said, he's about 19 and Mama was like 18. Think about that hurt. And that also reveals to us that what he did is not in response. It was in reacting to his perception. This highlights the utmost important, the paramount necessity for all of us to check our thoughts, check our belief. If we do things in reactions to what we believe or what we think, without questioning it, without stress testing, without reality testing, etc., we're going to engage in behaviors that we will regret down the road. This is not a diss against Jinshi, but rather we're using Jinshi as a perfect case study and case example to show us the power of the stories that we tell ourselves, about others, late emperor or otherwise, and about the world. And because of the story he's told himself growing up with the gossip, the rumors, the feeling of illegitimacy and all that, that's the story he told himself because that's the story he's been told. Again, the power of language, the power of stories. He created this warped reality for himself, full of hurts, trauma, invalidation. And what he did in reaction to that is trying to escape, distance himself from the royal bloodline. So who suffered the most? Jinshi. And it's not his fault. But do you guys see what I'm saying? This is why we have to be really, really thoughtful and mindful and deliberate about the stories we tell ourselves. I know I yap a lot. That's why you guys watch me, right? Professional yapper at your service. But at the end of the day, do you know who is yapping the most in your life every single day? Yourselves, ourselves. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we're constantly telling different distorted and warped realities and different versions and different perceptions about ourselves in our minds and about others and about the world we live in. Constantly, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep. Countless stories. And according to research, on average, we humans have about anywhere from 8,000 distinct thoughts to about 70,000 repetitive thoughts throughout the day. On average, on a day, 7,000 distinct thoughts to about 70,000 repetitive thoughts every single day, 7 days a week, 30 days out of the month. And how many of the thoughts and how many of those stories do we believe without questioning? That's what happens. So we got to slow down. We got to challenge our thoughts. And we have to internalize this truth that we cannot trust all of our thoughts. Our mind deceives us all the time based on how we feel, right?
するだけです。
Oh, like father, like daughter.
そうだ。自分を笑うのは後だ。今はやるべきことがある。
Dude, one more Kool-Aid of Mao. Mao not only successfully addressed and mitigated the baby turned sideways for Lady Gyokyu before she got kidnapped, so mission success, like I said earlier, and the voice of Mao continues to anchor Jinshi even during her absence and kidnapping. Focus on what you can do. Focus on what you can do. And he obviously saw that in Luomen last episode. Mao is grounding and anchoring Jinshi even when she's not here. Yo!
あの女官、この墓に手を合わせていたな。
Good observation.
ほおずきとは季節外れだな。
Lantern plants. Ah, that's the name of the episode. Kind of looks like jalapeno plants. But again, I don't know why the translation was lantern plant, but the kanji was actually ghost lantern. Yeah, ghost is what? Something that no longer exists. Maybe ghost lantern is a reference to the Fox Village. Like ghost, like the Mother Royale who's been deceased, but bloodline. Anyway. But it doesn't look like lantern. Tai-ho. Ah, it's her name.
よく人を集めて怪談話をしていたな。
The person who passed is the main subject of that ghost story before that woman disappeared. The one who died last year is the mother of Sui Ren. If they're related, they're definitely intimate, right? Oh my gosh, dude. Actually, that will make sense. Right? This kind of pans out. Sui Ren harbors this deep hatred, resentment, anger, vindictiveness, because her mom was deflowered by the late emperor, and her pregnancy and herself, her mom, was denied of the recognition. So they never became like a upper first rank or middle or even lower rank concubine, and probably served out their rest of the year as a lady in waiting. No honor, no prestige, no influence, nothing. Just even after gave birth. That means obviously that impacted the mom and also Sui Ren. And so what is Sui Ren's, all of her master plans and all of her attempts and everything, what is it against? It's against the royalty, the bloodline of the emperor. Whose bloodline is that? Is of the late emperor who deflowered and planted the root of trauma against Sui Ren's mother. But late emperor is dead. The late empress is dead. So who can she avenge against? The current emperor and everyone else. So in that sense, we have a motive. Clearly established motive. We have a suspect. And now we have targeted victims. The royal bloodline. Wow. We'll see though. We shall see. Shen Liu? Huh?
選定の時代、イカンとの密通によりその娘が生きていれば
Sui Ren, yup. Whoa. Hold up. Is that particular daughter, it's Luo Lan? And Sui Ren is just helping her avenge as Sui Ren's, or as Luo Lan's half-sister, full sister? Again, that family tree I'm not really sure about, but what? So what would be the family tree or lineage of Shisho? If Luolan was the daughter of the mom who was deflowered by the late emperor, what would Shisho's relationship be to the lady in waiting that died? Oh my gosh, my head hurts.
どちらへ？
ザクロ級だ。
His brain is on fire, yo. Speaking of speaking of nervous system earlier, Jinshi's neural networks, full capacity, just neurons. I could see his neurons firing, just freaking brain synapses clicking. Oh, let's go. Oh, so it's the daughter of the doctor? Okay, so I guess it's not the late emperor's daughter, but maybe the late emperor did deflower, right? I think the late emperor did deflower, but in terms of actually giving birth and all that was by the physician. Gosh, dude. Oh, my head hurts. Too many family trees. Okay, doctor was ousted. But Luolan's also missing. Oh my goodness, dude. Is this where Jinshi's gonna find out Luolan's involved because she's MIA? Such an impressive writing. Like, dude, Jinshi's hunch is on par with Mao Mao's hunch, like the Chaw swap theory. Wow. Let's go. It's definitely a disguise. It's not Luolan. It's someone else standing in lieu of Luolan.
急に尋ねて申し訳ありません。
Uncover your face.
とのことです。
ありがとうございます。いつもながら
All the freaking ladies in waitings, dude, all the ladies in waiting look alike. They look similar. And you could tell with some makeup and jewelry, they could definitely be a doppelganger to Luolan. Yo, that's crazy.
派手な格好にまなじりのつり上がった揃いの化粧。
They all have the same look.
まるで狐だ。
They all have the same look. And also foxes, the Fox Village?
本日はお伺いしたいことがありまし。
Oh! Luolan doesn't have yo! Speaking of forensic techniques that I was sharing earlier, yo, right here. Jinshi just absolutely locked in. What did I say? His engine went from V8 to V12, pertaining Mao Mao's safety. Our man Jinshi's locked in, yo. His freaking brain synapses be off the charts. He zoomed in on the micro expressions and the features of forensic behavior analysis by saying, wait, Luolan doesn't have a mole. He will know. He's the top dog of Royal Palace. I'm sure he's met and carefully interviewed and met with every single concubine that ever came to the Royal Palace. Why? For the safety and interests of the emperor, his brother, aka father. So Jinshi knows. He's equally observant as Mao Mao. Attention to details. You have to be. And bam, he locked in. He's like, hold up. You're not Luolan. She doesn't have that birthmark or mole. Let's go. Wow. Yo. Wow. I keep track of. Okay, so he didn't know, I guess, Luolan in details because that would be disrespectful towards the emperor, but he kept track of everyone else. So through a process of elimination, through proxy, bingo, jackpot. Let me process. Yeah. Wow, I love seeing Jinshi when he's assertive. Wow, for the sake of Mao Mao's safety, not for the sake of his own ego. I'm shooketh, yo. I'm bamboozled. Wow. So I made notes of features that were easy to track. Yo, this level of attention to details. Jinshi, you and Mao Mao are truly match made in heaven. Not just because of the plot armor and not just because of the author, but your characteristics, your professionalism, your obsession, your dedication, your impressiveness. Wow. Got him busted. Busted.
あとはそう
Wow.
ありいや連風かな
Let me close my jaw. I mean, I guess that makes sense. He already said he kept track of all the features of all the ladies awaiting. And how many women are in Royal Palace? Thousands. Yet Jinshi still remembered and memorized all of their names and these features? Jinshi, my apologies for, my bad. I'm sorry for only drinking Mama's Kool-Aid. I promise, Jinshi, I'll start drinking your Kool-Aid as well. Although I'm already at the brink of overhydrating and drowning. I got you, Jinshi. Whoa! His memory and his neurological capacity and his just dedication. He memorized all of their names and their features, and there's thousands of them. And Lolan has at least 50, 60. Unbelievable, dude.
お前の名は
Wow. Got him. Yo. Yep.
自分とよく似た次女ばかり選んだ
Yup.
奇抜な格好や化粧をしている
Distractions. Decoy. Misdirection. Yup.
いえ本物はどこへ行った
Dude, he's grabbing her by the freaking mouth, dude. Because we forget, Jinshi is the top dog of Royal Palace. Only next to the emperor himself. In other words, to the rest of the well, not concubines, right? Because they're, I guess, the emperor's possessions. But to all the other court ladies and ladies in waiting and servants, there's no, like, practically speaking, there's no difference between Jinshi and the emperor. It's the same. It's marginal to them. Because they're both heavens. That's why Jinshi can do what he does. And she knows she effed up, dude. Like, yeah. Wow. This is unbelievable, dude. Wow, dude. Wow.
ローラン妃はどこへ行った
Oh,
ご容赦ください。
man. This is nuts, dude. But what does that say? Head lady in waiting says, please forgive her. She knows nothing. What is she not saying, but implying? The true culprit is Lady Luolan. It's all about Luolan. Please talk to Luolan directly. So the question is, where is she? Where is Luolan? Oh my gosh, y'all. Wow.
落ち着け
It's okay. You're not a robot,
どこへ
Jinshi.
行くとは聞いていないんだな
はい、もう戻らないと言われました。
上級妃が自分の意思で高級を
Wow. Yo, this is crazy. This is like grade A1 paparazzi controversy. A high-ranking concubine left the royal palace of the emperor on her free will as the possession and the woman of emperor without his approval. Guys, do you guys recognize the magnitude of this reveal? They can't just leave of their own free will. Their free will is predicated on the emperor's will, because his will is the will of the heavens. And we know the emperor is a good guy. We've established that, right? So this is not against the emperor, but this is the historical and the cultural and political context. They are the byproduct of the era. They can't leave. Doesn't matter if you're high ranking. If anything, the higher position you are, the more limited your freedom is to a certain degree. Although you get the influence, you get the affluence, you get the prestige, you get the ranking, sure. But you're an even more cherished, private, intimate possession of the emperor. How dare you to leave by yourself? This is unheard of. Anyway, I just wanted to really emphasize, like, this is nuts. And obviously Jinshi saying this, he's flabbergasted. He's like, what is going on? Yo, a raid. Oh my gosh, this is like an FBI raid. Because this entire pavilion just committed, I don't want to say treason, but low-key a betrayal of the emperor and his interest. Wild, y'all. This is an FBI raid straight up. This is crazy. Wow. This just escalated. There's no need to call her concubine anymore. Even Gao Shan didn't call her Lady Luolan because that's the respect. So even Gao Shan is more neutral because he also recognizes what just happens. But Jinshi goes even a step further. No need to call her. She's lost her title. Now she's a criminal in pursuit. She's a suspect. She's a convicted felon. Don't call her concubine. We're gonna hunt her down. Wow, dude. All of this started from their thorough investigation that led them to that graveyard area and caught Shenliu in her action. And all that led to this fateful, decisive moment. I'm sure the tide will now switch. Wow.
高級からの逃走
Yup. Told you. Yup.
承知の上で計画したのだろう
Yup. It's like a officer, military officer and a soldier leaving the military base during wartime. It's treason. You will get prosecuted by the DOJ, Department of Justice, and the military court, and the real court. This is equivalent. A concubine, especially a high-ranking concubine, leaving her post without the approval of the chief commander-in-chief, aka the emperor. This is treason. Like I said, equivalent.
交換の娘を高級に入れるという人質として高級という鳥かごに閉じ込めることができる
Wow, political move.
師匠は娘を可愛がっていたように見えた
It was a leverage and it was leverage against Shisho. Wow.
別のところがどうだったのか
That's true.
いつだったか言っていたが
Oh,
自らついていったのかだがそれなら書き置きなど残さない
Oh, so now he made the connection that obviously one lady in waiting was missing in Lady Concubine's pavilion, and turns out it was her, Luolan. And they found out about the eunuch that was missing that turned out to be Sui Ren. And all that connections about the family tree lineage, all that. And boom, he arrived at the conclusion that they kidnapped Mao Mao. It was involuntary. Wow.
一体ど
Information overload. This is nuts. Oh my gosh.
何マオマオが
Oh! And now Lacan, the true fox. True fox Lacan, while my duchy is meowing in the background. True, the ultimate fox, the ultimate strategist Lacan, the father of Mao Mao, found out. Now, the team Mao Mao's wrath will soon ensue, and Sui Ren, Luolan, they're gonna incur the wrath. Wow.
行方不明
Yo, he crushed the bamboo cup. What? First of all, what kind of grip strength is this? Yo, Lacan, I know you play a lot of chess and Go, but what the heck? Ah!
待ってろ今パパが助けるぞ
Papa's coming to rescue you! Oh my gosh, I love this comedy, but obviously this, this about to, I'm trying to cuss less because I need to remind myself, right? The students from my high school ministry, from my church, some of them watch my videos, right? Like, oh, okay, contain myself, calm down, Benoit. Yo, things about to hit the fan. Oh my gosh!
なぜバレた
Lacan found out.
漏れたようですそれと現在師匠の足
Shisho is missing. So far, it all points to Shisho as the master plan, right? Shisho got rid of the only leverage that the emperor had, which was Luolan, as the hostage. She's gone. Shisho has nothing to lose. Yo, are we gonna win this all-out battle? What is going on, dude? And did Shisho leave after that checkmate by Lacan with the whole grape juice move? Whoa.
ローランと共謀していたのでしょうか
Gotta.
わからんだが逃亡した妃の父親だ
If it smells like a duck, walks like a duck, and quakes like a duck, it's mostly a duck. I mean, right?
帝にあだなす者として罪が
Yo, he'll be charged with crimes against the emperor. This is wow. This is escalating. This is really, really, really escalating. I was not prepared for this. Absolute PEAK. Peak.
ですね
あと昨日の入管シェンリュですが命を取り留めたようです
意識は
まだ戻っていません。ただ大砲と面識があったと調べがついております。
Wow.
謀反に
This is freaking FBI level of investigation. Wow, it's thorough. Because obviously back then there was no human rights. I'm sure they would interrogate anyone and everyone. Waterboard, freaking Guantanamo Bay. There's no UN peace treaty. There's no crimes against humanity. I'm sure they went all out. Of course, they will extract information ultimately.
そのつながりかと。
診療所全員か。
いえ、他の者は謀反について何も
Just
知りません
Shinryu.
でした。
That's good. They're obviously valuable assets to obviously clinic, taking care of the sick.
それでも協力したのは皆がシェンリュと同じ恨みを持っていたからか。
Resentment. Resentment's the key word, the core of so many events in the series. Resentments against the power holders, the royal bloodline, the emperor, the crown prince, the assassinations, the lies, the deception, all that.
なき今、女たちの恨みが向かうさ。
Yep. That's what I said earlier. Exactly right.
今すぐローランを探さねば。だが情報が少なすぎる。
Dude, in the massive lands of China, finding someone with limited information is like finding a needle in the haystack. Literally. My goodness, what a tall order.
追うべきか。それはもう別のものが。
Someone's doing that. Lacan? Yo.
No.
Who's that? Lacan?
誰でしょうか。
Looks like Lacan's hair.
失礼いたします。
Who this? Hmm?
そろばん
That's from
Nani
Lacan,
Oda.
right?
初めてお目にか
Yo, who is this? This looks like a Lacan son. Is this Lacan 2? Is this mini Lacan 2.0? Also, he carries that the old calculator. Obviously, he's a brainy, right? Doesn't he look like younger Lacan?
ります。カン・ラハンと申します。
Khan Lahan.
外邸内でラの名を持つ者はラカンとラハン二人しかいない。古く皇族から与えられたあざなのはず。ラの一族軍師殿の養子だ。
Ah, adopted
何か用
son.
か。
Looks like a list. A list of names.
どうでしょうか。
国庫の水筒帳だな。
Oh, okay, never mind.
はい。父上から調べろと言われたものです。 実物を見ていただきたかったのですが、量が少々膨大でして、目につく範囲で抜粋しました。
ここ数年
Yo, is this like a ChatGPT or AI summary? Consolidated versions?
穀物の値が明らかに。
Hmm.
干ばつも
Interesting.
公害もなかったのに。それからもう一つ。
The price of rice has gone up. What does that say? I mean, basic supply chain, right? Supply and demand economics 101. Price of an item goes up when the demand increases and supply decreases. When the supply no longer meets the demands, scarcity, price goes up. My conjecture is that this means Shisho, they've been purchasing or withholding rice in such a large quantity in preparation for what? When does rice and grain become one of the most invaluable assets? During wartime. Are they preparing for all-out war against the emperor's family? Is that why they're collecting and purchasing and buying off rice, decreasing the supply available? And that's why the price has been going up the last 2 years, despite no drought. Yo,
なぜか鉄の値も上が
the price of iron has also increased. Same thing. They're buying iron for what? Weapons. War. They're preparing for war. What is oh my god, this is escalating.
るのです。国全体の金属の値も。
As the price of all metals nationwide. Wartime, baby. Wow, they're preparing for war. Wow.
国で巨大な調べたところそんな計画はどこにも見当たりま
Wow.
抜け目のないところは養父にそっくりだな。
Focus, Jinshi. Yep, he gets it, of course.
ないが、
Yeah.
量が量だ。値上がりすれば差額は相当なものになる。その差額は誰かが横領している。
Yep. Yep.
そう言いたいのだろう。
す。はい。私が
Oh, and one more thing. Aside from everything I said, what Jinshi said, I didn't think about that. They're also pocketing the differences. So they're also amassing capital. 444. All the indicators you need when someone's preparing for war.
この
Wow.
2つの行き着く先は同じです。
Yep.
そして
Shisho.
もっと詳しく調べることができます。
Wow,
お知りに
goosebumps.
なりたくないですか？
Yo, baby fox. Let's go. Wow.
それで要求は何だ？
Oh, what's that?
利害なしに話を持ってきたわけではないのだろ？
神師様、こちらの学、少し勉強していただきたいでしょう。
What?
それを
What?
父上が壊した高級の門の修繕費です。
Yo, destruction of property. I'm dead.
自業自得では
Yo,
分かった。
he is a baby fox.
的に調べろ。金と鉄が流れ着いた先で何が起きようとしているのか。
I wonder if I arrived in my conjecture of all these hinting at war scenarios. I wonder if that didn't click for Jinshi, or did it click? But he's afraid of fully confronting that reality because the implications and the consequences are freaking unbelievably large. A civil war. That's what we're talking about. A civil war. The potential fall of the kingdom, the dynasty. Maybe the implications are just too dire, too big. That Jinshi is maybe being hyper cautious and trying to not feed into that conjecture of him. Because you don't think Lacan came to this conclusion as if I could arrive at this conclusion, you don't think Lacan did or Jinshi?
仰せのままに。
Oh, look at those sharp gaze.
何でも使ってやる。
Lantern. Is that Mama? Oh, we're back at the Fox Village. What's the significance of this Lantern Festival? I mean, they're treating Mama pretty well, I guess. The fox mask hinting, foreshadowing. Unfreaking believable, y'all. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this was a long yap session. The amount of information that's being revealed, unbelievably wild. Bonkers. While my Dutchie is still meowing in the background. Anyway, y'all, that's it for this week. Holy crap. Absolute peak. Non-stop peak. I apologize in advance since you'll be hearing me say this after presumably every episode until we close out. Anyway, y'all, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, peace.